अमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28, verse number 41. So we are reading the story of King Puranjana and how he was born as a woman or a girl and was married to King Maladhwaja. And then Maladhwaja, he had 7 sons, 1 daughter, and he transferred all his kingdom or distributed his kingdom among these 7 sons and retired to the forest, and his wife followed him there. So it was described that this is like a disciple surrendered to the Guru and performing service to the Guru. And there Maladhwaja engaged in austerities, and he was seeing the Lord everywhere. Sarvyapaktaya atmanam vyatiriktaya atmani. He saw the Lord everywhere outside and also within one's own self. And he was in a sort of trance, having the vision of the Lord. So now it says that Sakshat Bhagavato Uktena Guruna Harina Nripa Vishuddha Jnana Deepena Spurata Vishwato Mukham Pare Brahmani Cha Atmanam Param Brahma Tathatmani Vikshamano Vihayiksham Asmadupara. So he was completely absorbed in thoughts of the Lord, and his heart was purified by the lamp of transcendental knowledge, Vishuddha Jnana Deepena, and he was able to perceive the Lord. And he saw that Pare Brahmani Chatmanam, that he himself was situated in the absolute truth, and the absolute truth was situated in him. So this is what he perceived. And finally he says that Vihaya Iksham Asmad Uprarama, that he gave up this vision also. So that is how the verse is. And in the commentary there's a different way Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, because he says that he was actually having like the direct perception or sort of perception of the Lord. It's like one may dream, like daydream. And he felt separation, and then he was some sort of murcha, becoming fainted because of the separation. And then what he has heard from his Guru and the Lord, then he saw that everything is just pervaded by the personality of Godhead. Then he lost interest in everything. So Vihaya Iksham Asmadu Praramas. So the impersonal explanation is that he saw the Parabrahma, and then he gave up that vision also. And the Vaishnava explanation is that he saw the Lord, and therefore he lost interest in anything material. Tatasya tasya utpanna premno bhagavataha sakshat darshanam api abhuta. Because he had so much love manifest in his heart, he also had the direct vision of the Lord. So in the previous verse it was described that he only had like an inspiration, not the complete or direct vision of the Lord, but just as if Lord was present, but he was still feeling separation from him. So that's what he called as amarsha, and that made him faint or swoon in ecstasy. And this increased the tide of love in his heart, and because of that he had the direct vision of Lord. Sakshadeva Bhagavata Harina Santap Harina Vishwato Mukham Spurata Samantadeva Praspurata Tejasa Guruna Sata Ukta Updishto Yogyana Deepa. And then Lord directly spoke to him. Lord is called Hari here because he takes away the suffering of his devotee. And then he was able to perceive the Lord all around, Vishwato Mukham, Spurata. Samantadeva Praspurata Tejasa, and all around he saw the glow of the Lord. And then Lord gave instruction to him, and that is the transcendental light. Swamadhurya Anubhav Prakaras Tena. So this transcendental light is actually the experience of the sweetness of the Lord. Tena tasmineva pare brahmani atmanam ikshmana vasudeva bhagavati nanyam veda udvahan ratimiti purvakti. And in that only he saw his own existence, that he is also existing in the Lord only, means he is not independent of the Lord. So usually the characteristic of the ego is to make us feel separate and independent. We all feel that we are separate from everything else, we are independent. And although we read that everything is inside the Lord, the whole universe is in the belly of the Lord, but we don't feel like that. It's not our experience. Theoretically we may understand, but there is no such experience that I am connected to the Lord directly or I exist in Him. I am not independent. So he felt, he had this experience that he is no more independent, he is in Lord only. Vasudeva Bhagavati Nanyad Veda Udvahanratim. Because earlier it was said in the verse that he did not know anything else. Aste Sthanuriva Ekatra Divyam Varsha Satam Sthira Vasudeva Bhagavati Nanyad Veda Udvahanratim. That he was standing there like a tree and he did not know anything else. And his love was towards Vasudeva, the Supreme Lord. So for that reason the word Paribrahmani is translated as Vasudeva. These verses are a little bit tricky because they use the word Paribrahmani and then Vasudeva and Bhagavan. So obviously the impersonalists, they tend to translate them in the way of impersonal Brahman. But he is saying that earlier, because it was stated Vasudeva Bhagavati, and specifically the word Bhagavan is used, because the word Vasudeva can also be translated to mean as Brahman. But when Bhagavan is used, then it becomes a little difficult. So therefore he translates the word Parabrahman as Vasudeva. Bhagavati Swaratim Udvahantam Anuraginam Pashyam. So he was carrying his love or rati towards the Lord. And this also he was able to see. He was not only able to see that he is existing in the Lord, but he has love for the Lord. Means he felt the relationship. It's not just some shanta ras or neutral relation, but he felt a relationship with the Lord. Tathaiva ye yatha mam prapadyante tans tathaiva bhajamiham iti bhagavad-ukte. So therefore Lord says that as one approaches me, I reward accordingly. So because he had a love for the Lord, so he was also rewarded accordingly. Means Lord appeared in his personal form to him. Atmani swasminsya parabrahma sanuragam ikshmana. And he saw the Lord within himself, which means that he also realized that Lord also had love towards him. So the experience was that there was a mutual loving relationship between him and the Lord. And this love was flowing both ways. His love was flowing towards the Lord and Lord's love was flowing towards him. This was his personal experience. Tatakshana eva prabalita ananda murcha vasad iksham vihaya asmad sthul sukshama upadhi dvayat spashtam eva viraram. And earlier also it was said Virarama, here also it said Upararama. So he is explaining that at that time when he realized this mutual love, then there was an intense experience of bliss which led to a state of trance, which means he lost all external consciousness and thus he lost all vision, Iksham Vihaya. So he lost all external consciousness, means he became completely unaware of his subtle and gross bodies. Sthul Sukshma Upadhi Dvayat Spashtam Eva Rama. So this is the explanation, seeing the Lord, having a personal relationship with his devotees. And there is another explanation in the form of Ashwarya. He says, Ashwarya Pakshiyastu Shlokas Trayam Idam Eva Vyachakshita. He says that those who follow the Ashwarya path, or the path of majesty, they explain these three verses in the following way. So different explanation. Sa Malayadhvaja Atmanam Parameshwaram Sarvyapaktaya Sarvasmacha Vyapyat Jagto Vyatiriktaya Cha Atmani Swasmin Adhisthataram Vidwan Janan Viraram Sansara. So this is going to the previous verse. Sarvyapaktaya Atmanam. So he is now, instead of taking the meaning on the personal form of Bhagavan, he is applying the meaning to Paramatma. So that is the Ashwarya explanation, because Paramatma means Ashwarya. So he says that he Malayadhvaja, then he saw that Atma means Paramatma, the Supreme Controller. He is all pervading, Sarvyapaktaya, Sarvasmatcha Vyapyat Jagto Vyatiriktaya, and he is separate from everything else. Not only that he is pervading everything, but he is also distinct from everything else. So this is what he perceived. And he also perceived that this Paramatma, or the Supreme Immanent Being, is also situated in his own self. Atmani cha, Atmani swasmin adhisthataram vidwan. So knowing this Virarama, he became completely renounced from the material world. Sansara nityartha. Vyapkatte vyatiriktatve cha drishtanta. And then there is an example given to explain the all-pervading feature of the Lord and also his being distinct. And that is Amarsha Shakshinam Manayadi Drashtaram Jivam Adhyatmadi Vyapkam Atcha Swapne Sushuptau Adhyatmadi Vitiriktam Eva Sukham Ahmasvasukam Ityatra Tattad Vitiriktasya Kevalasya Atmaneva Anubhavat. So he says that Amarsha Shakshinam means one who sees the mind, that is the jiva, or the individual living being. Adhyatma adi vyapakam, and this living entity, it pervades the senses, because the senses are functioning because of this soul. Atcha swapne sushuptau adhyatmadi vyatiriktam. And then when there is a deep sleep, then one also experiences that the soul is completely different from the body and senses. So meaning earlier of Vyapak was that the Lord is pervading everything and Lord is distinct from everything. And here to understand that, the example which is given is that just as the soul is there in the body and soul pervades the body and the senses, yet soul is experienced as distinct from body and the senses in the state of no dream or dreamless state. So like that, Lord is pervading everything, yet Lord is distinct from everything. The meaning. So just as Sukhamahama Swapsam Ityatra Tad Vyatiriktasya Kevalasya Atmaneva Anubhavat. So when one goes in the deep sleep state, then one experiences complete freedom from all material misery, and one realizes one remembers this happiness on awakening from that deep sleep. When one says that I slept very happily, na kinchid avedisham, I did not know anything. So that shows the distinctive nature of the soul from the body and mind. Nanu etad jnanam kuto asau avape iti tatraha shakshaditi. So from where he got this knowledge? So says that Sakshad Bhagavad-ukti, that it is Lord who gave him this knowledge. And he says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama piyantite. Tesam satat yuktanam bhajtam priti purvakam. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama piyantite. So Lord gives this buddhi yoga. Iti Bhagavad-ukte tenaiva jnana-deepena pare brahmani Bhagavati Ashriya Tattve Atmanam Shuddha Jivam Ashritam Ikshman. So by this transcendental knowledge he could understand that the individual living being, he is sheltered in the Lord, who is called the Ashriya Tattva, or the Supreme Center of everyone. Tatha Atmani Shuddha Jive cha Tamev Param Brahma Bhagavantam Adhisthataram Ikshman. And then he saw that in one's own self, it is that Supreme Lord only who is the Adhisthata or the presiding deity. Vihaya iksham iti jat prematvad antetam paramarsham api vihaya. And giving up the vision means that when love became manifest, then this type of deliberation was also given up, that I am existing in the Lord, Lord is existing in me. Because there is no point in having such deliberation. Sri Bhagavatasya mohinitvat itopi annatha kechid vyachakshate tattu te eva grihnanti na santa. In the very beginning, in the first verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary writes that this Bhagavatam is like Mohini avatar. So what is the meaning of that? He said, just as when the Devas and Daityas, the Asuras, they churned the milk ocean, and finally Amrita, the ambrosia, came out. And then there was a quarrel because both parties wanted to drink it first. So then Mohini appeared, and Daityas, who had the pot in their hand because they had snatched it away from Jayanta, Indra's son, so they became immediately bewildered by her beauty, and they approached her to be the mediator. And then of course Mohini speaks, why you want to trust me, I am just a young woman, nobody should trust a young woman, and so on. So then they became more convinced that she is really worthy of trust. Because this is one of the tricks to gain confidence. You have to show humility, that I am really very fallen, all that. Humility works everywhere, even with Daityas. So Daityas gave the pot to her, and then she said, yes, you make 2 rolls, I will distribute this. And then told the Daityas that you just relax, I give few drops to them, and then you can have a full cup. So as you know the story, she distributed everything to the Devas, and the Daityas, they didn't get anything. So just as the nectar was obtained only by the Devas, and the Daityas were only looking at the empty pot. So like that, Bhagavatam is read both by devotees and also non-devotees, which really means impersonalists. And it is only the devotees who understand the real meaning of Bhagavatam and drink the nectar of Bhagavatam. Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam huraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. Because it is meant for rasikas, means devotees. And the impersonalists, they are not rasika, they are arasikas. Because they are renounced people, they cannot eat a gulab jamun. That is forbidden for a sannyasi to eat sweets. Even Lord Chaitanya was being criticized by, who was that? What was the name of that sannyasi?
Which one?
Who was criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for eating because he saw the ants coming out? Ramchandra Puri. So he says, being a sannyasi and eating sweets, this is not allowed. If you want to eat sweets, remain a grihastha. So that is another thing, that sometimes some people now take sannyas only to eat sweets. So the sannyasis are called arasikas because they don't want to taste good things. That's the meaning of sannyas. So pibata bhagavata rasam alayam muhuraho rasika bhui bhavuka. So bhavuka, sentimentalist, they are not sentimentalists. So they cannot understand the real meaning of Bhagavatam. But they also study Bhagavatam and they think that what is being talked here is about impersonal Brahman realization. Because these verses you can also twist a little bit and get that meaning. So therefore he is not clearly saying it here, but he says that Sri Bhagavatasya Mohinitvat, that's Bhagavatam is Mohini avatar. So itopi anyatha kechid vyachakshate, that there are some people who give other meaning than these two meanings which he has given. Tattu teva granante, he says that meaning is only accepted by them. Na santa, he says not by the saintly people. Means he is not even counting them as saintly. So that is obviously the impersonal meaning. Because the word Brahman, Parabrahman, all this is used here. So patim param dharmagyam vaidarbhi malayadvajam premna pariyachara dhitva bhogan sahapati devata. So now he is describing about Vaidarbhi because he had followed Malayadvaja. That this Vaidarbhi, she was Pati Devata. That she considered her husband as the Devata, or the worshipable person. And she performed all types of services to the husband, who is called here as Paramadharmagya, that who knew the supreme dharma, which is bhakti. Means Malayadvaja was actually a devotee, and she performed this service not out of any compulsion or out of any duty, but out of love, premna. So this was her character, that she was completely devoted to Malayadvaja. So earlier we read the story of Puranjana and Puranjani, and they were depicted like materialistic people, if you remember the whole story. And then in the next life, they are depicted as devotees. So this is the difference. And it happened because of the grace of a devotee. So Tadevam, okay, there is no commentary on this. So he said that Tadevam Sri Gurudevasya Siddha Dasa Paryantam Siddhi Dasa Paryantam Sishyastam Paricharane Vartayit iti darshayati Tatimiti Chaturthi. Says that in the next 4 verses it is described that how a disciple should perform service to the Guru till the Guru attains Siddhi, which means gives up his physical body. Till then, he should continue doing the service to the Guru. Because there are two types of disciples. There are disciples who come to study, and when their education is over, then they leave. And there are other disciples who come and live with the Guru and serve for the rest of their life. So this is the difference between normal disciples and the devotee disciples. So she gave up all bhoga, all enjoyment, which was also explained that this also includes the enjoyment of performing devotional service other than service to the Guru. Because one may also perform chanting, kirtan, deity worship, going on parikrama, going on pilgrimage. These are all included as devotional activities. So she did not engage in that because she was devoted to the husband or to the Guru in case of disciple. So which means that for disciple, the service to Guru is the supreme activity and all others become secondary. Chiravasa Vratakshama Veni Bhuta Siro Ruha Babhaupatim Shanta Sikha Shantamiva. So her state is described that she was just wearing some torn cloths, Chiravasa, and her body became emaciated by taking various vows, fasting, Vratakshama, and Veni Bhuta Siroruha, and the hair on the head, they became matted, became dreadlocks. So naturally there was no comb there, they were living in the forest, no mirror. So all the hair they all got tangled. And Babhau Patim Shanta Shikha Shantamivanam. So she became very close to the husband. And she appeared just like fire without any smoke. Very beautiful. Shantamiva, Shikha Shantami Vanalam. That's how she appeared. So Patim Upa Upadhikecha Hineti Karam Pravachaniyas Tat Yogi Dritya Patyu Sakashat Kinchin Matrani Nyunaityartha. The word Upapati is used in the sense signifies that she was as good in spirituality as the husband, just little less than him. Means she was also equally spiritually advanced. That is the significance of Upapati. Shantam Angaravastham Nirdhumam Analam. So Shantam means like the fire without smoke. Nirdhuma Analam Upshanta Shuddha Jwala Yatha Bhavati Tada. So just like you have pure flame of the fire without any smoke, in the same way she appeared very clean, very pure, which means had absolutely no material desires. There was no other thought in her. Ajanati Priyatamam Yada Uparatamam Gana Sustharasanam asadya yatha purvam upacharat. So she did not know that the husband actually has left the body, because he was still, although he died, he was still situated in his seat. So she came and she started doing service to him, although he has already left the body. So Maladhwaj died, but it appeared as if he was in a state of trance, and she did not realize that he is no more there. So she came and she engaged in the service. Sustaram asanam asadya yatha purvam upacharat. Yada nopalabhet angrau ushmanam patyur archati asit samvigna hridaya yutha brashtam vigiyatha. But then when she touched the feet to massage the feet and realized that there was no warmth in them, they had become completely cold. So then she became very much agitated in the mind, realizing that the husband has died. And she felt as if she has lost everything, like a female deer who gets lost from the herd of the deers. So arshti archanti noplabhet noplabandha. Atmanam shoshati dinam abandhum viklavashubhi stanavasiccha vipne suswaram pravirodasa. So she felt very pitiable on herself and realized that she was helpless, without any shelter or any friend, and was very much agitated, and there were tears in the eyes. The tears were making her breast wet. So then she started crying loudly in the forest. But the crying was also musical. It was not some disturbing type of crying. You can say suswaram pravarodaha. And she cried in a melodious way. Guruho sadhak sarira apgame sati. When the physical body of the Guru is dead, patyur vichede pativrata iva sishyastad vichede santapto vilalapa magno bhavati. So just as a chaste wife cries when the husband dies, in the same way a disciple feels separation when the Guru dies and cries, Atmanam shochati mamitah param kastrayate iti shokakul. So she was lamenting that now who will protect me now onwards, and thus she was very sad in that state. Uttishta uttishta rajarshe imam udadhi mekhalam dasubhya kshatra bandhubhyo bibhyatim patum arhasi. She said, O saintly king, wake up, and protect this earth which is surrounded by the ocean from the dacoits and the Kshatriya Bandhus. It deserves you to protect this earth. Evam vilapati bala vipune nugata patim patita padi or bhartu rudati ashuniya varteta. So in this way she was lamenting and crying and wailing and weeping. So she had followed the husband in the forest. She fell at the feet of the husband and she cried with tears in her eyes. Uttishthati Paksha He Guru, the meaning of that wake up, protect the earth, from the alternative meaning is that, O Guru, Imam Prithvim Pad Pravirtat Sravanadi Bhakti Gatim Dasubhya Bhakti Vrodibhya Matebhyo Bhagatim. That please protect this earth by giving the knowledge of bhakti, and protect it from the dacoits, which means those who are against bhakti, and the earth is fearing them, so you give shelter to earth. Avartayat pravartiyamasi. So in this way she was crying with tears in her eyes. There is no more commentary on this. And then she performed the sati ceremony. Sitim daromayim chitva tasyam patyuh kalevaram aditya chanumane vilapanti manovadhe. So then she made the funeral pyre for the husband by collecting wood, and on that she kept the dead body of the husband, and then she lit fire to it, and while crying she decided to follow the husband by jumping into the fire. Tasyam nidhaya agnidanena adipya cha. So putting the body into the fire and then burning the wood. Alternatively, Sri Guru Deha Sanskaram Kritva Srimad Guru Charna Vyuktoham Tadiya Gunanusmarana Maya Shokadavagni Dagdeham Pranam Dhartum Ashaktiman Tadupdishta Shravan Kirtanadi Bhakti Bhaktau Naiva Shaktim Dhasyam. So the meaning is that after performing the ceremony for the dead body of the Guru, the disciple thinks like this, that now I have become separated from the lotus feet of my Guru, and I am remembering all the wonderful qualities, and in this way he burns in this feeling of separation from the Guru. That is the meaning of fire here. And he feels that he cannot maintain his life, which means that he does not have the energy to engage in devotional service in the form of hearing and chanting, which was instructed by the Guru, because he feels so much separation from him. Tasmad adya eva marishyami iti sisya mansi nissunoti iti darshanat. Therefore, the disciple thinks that I will die today only, and this is what he resolves in the mind. See the significance of she burning her body with the husband's body. Tatra purvatarah kasyit sakha brahmana atmavan samprayan balguna samna tamaha rudatim prabho. So Maitreya is saying that at that time some old friend of hers, a Brahmana boy, he appeared there, because she was only deciding in the mind that now I will jump into this fire and give up my body. So at that time this Brahmana came and he consoled her with very nice words while she was still weeping and wailing. So when Vedarvi was crying and feeling separation from the husband, then the Brahmana came, who was some old friend, and he started speaking to her and consoling her. So that is being described in the upcoming verses. How he consoles her. Swaguruhu virha vyakuli bhav dasayam iva sisyasya bhagavad darshanam syad iti dyotayati tathiti. When one becomes very disturbed because of separation from the Guru, in that state the disciple has the vision of the Lord. This is being described because this Brahmana represents the Lord. So Lord actually comes and consoles the disciple. Purvatara Anadi Ishvara Sakha. So Purvatara means Anadi. He is his friend from past, which means without any beginning. And this is the Lord. And Sakha is friend, Dva Saparno Ityadu Shrutay. As it is said in the Upanishad that there are two birds sitting on the tree like friends, those Saparno Sayajo Sakhai Samana Vriksha Parisasvijat. So that is the significance of Atma and Paramatma being friends. Brahmana, Brahmana Veshadhari. So Brahmana means who was dressed like a Brahmana. Sakshat Sviya Swarupa Darshanam Premna Vina Na Bhavati Iti Gyapyati Smeti Bhav. Because it says that showing the form directly is not possible without love. This is being indicated here. Atmavan Antar Achanni Krita Swaswarupyukta. So Atmavan is an adjective of Brahmana, which indicates that he was concealing his real form. So that means the Lord appears to the disciple but not in his original form. He may come in some other form, or he may speak through somebody to console the disciple. Just as here the Brahmana comes dressed as a Brahmana, the friend, but it is the Lord. So in the upcoming verses then the Brahmana will speak, which are also interesting verses. And verses which are quite often misunderstood, because these verses are usually cited to support the fall down from the spiritual world. So we'll read them in the next class and see how the commentator explains them.
There was some example of some, like now in this case the wife, she was to the body along with the body. There are examples something somebody who is doing it with the guru? No. This is not
There's no such thing.
business.
You said that the ego creates that illusion that we disintegrated from the God. So does that mean that we actually always united with him? It's just that illusion that our ego creates?
No, because nothing is disunited from the Lord. Everything is within him.